everybody, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines and welcome back to yet another What If. Now, in this one, we shall talk about what if the SS Seawise University, also known as the former Cunard liner, the RMS Queen Elizabeth, didn't burn. So I intend to make a video about the whole history of the ship in the future as well. So we'll quickly cover the basics and then jump straight into the what if. So the ship was formerly known as the RMS Queen Elizabeth, and she would be owned by the famous Cunard line. She would be built by the shipbuilders John Brown and Company. The gross tonnage of this vessel would be 83,623 gross registered tons, with her length being 1,031 feet. She had a beam of 118 feet. The ship could go a speed of 32 knots. Now, she would have had a sister ship we all know and love, the RMS Queen Mary. The RMS Queen Elizabeth would be launched on the 27th of September 1938. Now, unlike the Queen Mary, who would begin her life as a passenger liner, the life of the RMS Queen Elizabeth would begin during World War II. During the war, she would serve as a troop ship. Her maiden voyage would be on the 16th of October 1946. Now, after the war, the Queen Elizabeth was transformed into an ocean liner, while the Queen Mary retained her wartime duties and appearance, except for her funnels, which were painted in the company's colors. During this time, the Queen Elizabeth underwent renovations at the Firth of Clyde Dry Dock in Greenock, conducted by the John Brown shipyard. After her transformation, the Queen Elizabeth would continue to sail as a passenger liner. However, Cunard retired the Queen Mary in 1967, and the RMS Queen Elizabeth completed her final Atlantic crossing to New York on the 5th of November 1968. The two liners were replaced with the new, more economical Queen Elizabeth II. In 1970, the vessel was sold to Tong Chao-young, a Hong Kong tycoon. Tong, who led the Orient Overseas Line, had plans to transform the ship into a university for the World Campus Afloat program. The ship was later renamed to the Seawise University, in line with the tradition of the Orient Overseas Line. The ship was now under Hong Kong ownership, and she sailed to Hong Kong on the 10th of February 1971. However, this proved to be problematic, for the ship's engines and boilers were in poor condition after several years of neglect. The now retired Commodore Marr and a former chief engineer of the ship were hired by Tang as advisors for the new journey to Hong Kong. Marr recommended that the Seawise University be towed to the new territories. But Tang and his crew were convinced that they could sail the ship there using just the aft engines and boilers. The planned several-week trip turned into months as the crew battled with boiler issues and a fire. A lengthy mid-voyage stopover allowed the new owners to fly spare parts out to the ship and carry out repairs before resuming the course to Hong Kong Harbor, where she arrived in July 1971. The vessel, which was close to completing her 5 million conversion, was intentionally set on fire on the 9th of January 1972. Multiple fires erupted throughout the ship, leading a later court inquiry to conclude that the cause was arson by an unidentified person or group. Speculations arose due to the fact that Tang had acquired the vessel for 3.5 million and had her insured for 8 million. Some believed that the fire was part of a fraudulent scheme to collect the insurance claim, while others speculated that it was a result of a conflict between Tang, a Chinese nationalist, and the communist-dominated ship construction unions. The ship was engulfed in flames, and the water sprayed by fireboats caused her to sink in Hong Kong's Victoria Harbour. Eventually, authorities deemed the vessel a shipping hazard, and she was dismantled for scrap in December 1974. Now this is where we jump into the what if. Now this is my personal opinion of what I think would have happened to the ship if she didn't burn. But I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. Let's begin. Now, if she didn't burn, she would have continued her life as the SS Seawise University. Many students would walk her decks, even though she was no longer the Queen Elizabeth. There would be a public room with a Cunard line theme, where students could learn about the rich history of the ship during her time under Cunard ownership. However, when the Falklands War began on the 2nd of April 1982, Great Britain would make a deal with the Orient Overseas Line to charter the Seawise University as a troop ship. The Orient Overseas Line would agree, as long as she would be returned to them after the war. The Seawise University would be converted into a troop ship and would carry troops. Even though she was an older ship compared to the more modern ships, she would prove to be helpful till the end of the Falklands War in 1982. After the war, she would be returned to the Orient Overseas Line. However, at the end of the 1980s, her age would show. And don't forget that it is quite costly running a ship her size. As well, the seas were being ruled by more modern ships. For example, the Cunard liner, the Queen Elizabeth II, and the SS Canberra, which was owned by the P&O Line. Now, there was a fear that the SS Seawise University would be scrapped. The city of Long Beach in California would hear of this. They already owned the former sister ship of the Seawise University, this being the RMS Queen Mary. They had made of her a floating hotel. Now the city of Long Beach would buy the SS Seawise University, restore her to her former glory as the RMS Queen Elizabeth, and would make of her a floating hotel / museum. The ship would be docked right next to her sister ship, the RMS Queen Mary. Later in life, she would have had the same financial difficulties as her sister ship. Now for a second storyline. During the Falklands War, the ship would only be used for overseas line purposes. She would serve the Orient Line for many years. However, at the end of the 1980s, again, her age would show. And don't forget that it is quite costly running a ship her size. In 1983, the ship was on a voyage from Hong Kong to the UK. But when the ship arrived there, the Orient Overseas Line was declared bankrupt, and shortly afterwards the ship would be brought to the Clyde, where she would be laid up. Unsure of her fate, the ship would be abandoned on the Clyde for a few decades, and eventually in the 2000s a organization / association is formed to save the Queen Elizabeth. They wanted to transform her into a museum ship somewhere in the Clyde, in order to honor the rich maritime history of British merchant shipping. They would succeed, and the ship would become a museum ship at Clydebank in Scotland. And that is the end to a What If. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of time and effort went into making this video, but I had so much fun. It was a blast of a time. So again, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you want to see some more amazing visuals of this amazing ship, please be sure to check out the Instagram page RMS Queen Elizabeth, where you can find some amazing pictures of this liner. And that is the end to a video. Thank you all so very much for watching. I appreciate the support. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would help out the channel a lot. And don't forget to click on the video suggested here in the outro, as I'm sure you will enjoy that one as well. Now, if you have any comments or thoughts on this video, please leave them in the comment section down below. As well, what ships you would like me to cover next. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day wherever you are, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.